Hello and welcome to ESG 302 Services and ScanPoint. I am your trainer, HMIS System Lead Trisha Cano. During this training, we will learn how to apply services that are provided to the clients you serve, as well as how to apply multiple services and services to multiple clients using the ScanPoint module. Please note that if you have any questions, feel free to contact us via email at hmissupport@cir.org or by phone or text at 602-908-3605. Thank you, and let's get started. The first example we're going to go over today will be a case management service. So once you log in to ServicePoint or HMIS, especially for rapid rehousing or homeless prevention projects, you should get into Enter Data As mode first. So let's click on our Enter Data As mode link in the upper right-hand corner and choose the appropriate project, that is, the project that your client is receiving assistance from the list. We'll use ESG Grant Rapid Rehousing. Then decide, did the service you provided happen today or did it happen in the past? If it happened in the past, then you'll want to use backdate mode for consistency. So for training, let's backdate to October, because remember, the client that we've been working with in the previous ESG 300 and 301 classes entered our project on October 5th, 2015. So we're going to say that we met with them and did some case management on the next day, 10/6/2015. Set backdate. We'll look up our client in the system by going to the menu on the left-hand side and clicking on the Client Point button and searching for our client either by name or their HMIS ID number if you have it. Our HMIS ID number, and then there's our client. Remember, if you're working with a family, services should be recorded from the head of household's record only. Once you're on the client record where you need to record your service, locate the Service Transactions tab and click on it. Before I show you how to actually record a service, let's talk about all these buttons and what they mean. The Add Need button is just to add a need and not a service at all. This is not utilized by homeless prevention or rapid rehousing projects. The Add Service button is how to add one service to this one client, which we will demonstrate in a minute. The Add Multiple Service button is how to add multiple or more than one service to this one client, which we will also demonstrate shortly. Add Referrals is how to add a referral to this client. These are services that your agency cannot provide, and so you have to refer them to someone else. Adding referrals is not required of homeless prevention or rapid rehousing projects. However, if your agency is interested, you can attend one of the case management classes to learn more about this. The View Previous Service Transactions will show you all the service transactions already recorded on this client at your agency. The View Shelter Stays button is used by shelters who utilize the ShelterPoint module. This will not be used in homeless prevention or rapid rehousing. And finally, the View Entire Service History button is how you can see everything that was recorded, both services and referrals, on your client at this agency. And we will demonstrate this as well in the course of the training. So for our first example today, let's say the client came into the office and you worked with them to search for some housing and maybe even fill out some housing applications. So this would be a case management service or a non-financial type service. Once you're on the Service Transaction tab, click the Add Service button. If you're working with a family, the household will populate at the top and your head of household will be checkmarked. And this is how it should look. Do not include the other family members. Ensure the service provider and the start and end date of the service are correct. The start and end date both should auto-populate, but if for some reason the end date is not filled in, please be sure to fill it in. Never leave a service open-ended. Next, we have the service type list. Please note that this is called the service type quick list and is pre-populated for homeless prevention or rapid rehousing projects. So please do not utilize the lookup button unless directed to by your supervisor. So we help them with case management today. Choose the case management from the list and then click the Save and Continue button in the bottom right-hand corner. This will redirect you to another page where you can review the information you just entered and make sure everything is correct. You can enter a note about this specific service. This is not a progress note or a case management note. This would just be a short note about this service on this client if needed. The service cost sections is not required homeless prevention or rapid rehousing projects, but some agencies use it to document whether they were giving the client 1 month of service or 2 months of service, and by service I mean rental assistance. The funding source section would be used for a financial type service, and I will show you that in our next example. You would scroll down to the bottom of the page and locate the need information. This is the last step we have to do before we're done. Locate the need status that defaults to identified and change it to closed, and change the outcome of the need to fully met. This is because the client had a need for case management today, and you have now provided that service to them, so it is closed and fully met, at least for today. Go to the bottom right-hand corner and click Save and Exit, and you have recorded a service for this client. It directs you to the preview pane of services where you can see your service start and end date, the service type, and who recorded the service. You can also see this information by clicking on the entire service history tab, where you can see that the system recorded that the client had the need for case management and that you provided that service of case management on October 6th. Now, the next example I'm going to show you is how to record multiple services for this client. So from here, you can click on this button in the bottom right-hand corner that says Back to Dashboard, so we see all of our options again. And this time, first, we're going to click on multiple services, but before we do that, let's change the day. So remember from previous training, this client moved into their apartment on November 5th. So let's say that we provided them with rental assistance and utility deposit assistance on the day they moved in. So let's change our backdate mode to the day they moved into their apartment, which was 11/5/2015. And now let's add multiple service, rent assistance and utility deposit assistance. Click the Add Multiple Services button. Again, if it's a household, the household will show at the top, but only record the services on the head of household. Ensure the provider and the start and end date are correct. Don't worry when you're providing a service of rent that might cover a whole month. Your start and end date does not have to cover a whole month. This just indicates that this is the day the client was given the check for that assistance. Go to your first service type and choose what you provided. In this case, we'll say Rent Payment Assistance. Because this is a financial type service, we need to record the funding source and amount. So click the Add Funding Source button and choose the appropriate funding source from the list. In this example today, I'm going to use DES ESG, but please talk with your supervisor about the appropriate item from the list that you should choose. Choose your funding provider by clicking the green plus sign. And then once you're back on your service window, put the amount of the service that was provided to the right of your funding source. So let's say it was $750 rental assistance, and then click Calculate. Finally, let's update our need status to say closed and fully met, because they needed rent assistance for that month and we gave them rent assistance. Now we need to record our utility deposit assistance. So instead of clicking Save and Exit and being done, we can just click Add Another and add another service right here. It expands the screen to show another service area. So the next service we're providing is utility deposit assistance. Because this is also a financial type service, we need to enter the funding source, choose the appropriate source from the list by clicking the green plus sign, and then entering the amount that you provided them to the right. In this case, $100 for utility deposit assistance, and then click Calculate. Finally, update your need status for this service, closed and fully met. You could continue to click Add Another until every service you provided the client on this day was recorded. And then once you are done, you can click the Save and Exit button in the bottom right-hand corner. Wow, look at all those services now. We have case management back on October 6th, and we have rent payment on November 5th, and utility deposit assistance on November 5th. Now let's talk about ScanPoint. So go over to your menu on the left-hand side and click on the ScanPoint module. This is where you can record a service for multiple clients at once. So if you had a group or a class, or you just happen to provide the same service to more than one family or client on the same day, this is a way to record those services all at once, and it saves you some time. Before I show you how to record services using ScanPoint, let's change our backdate date. Let's say we had clients come in and do a class or a group session on the best way to search for housing on November 20th. So I'm going to change my backdate to November 20th, 2015 instead. And to update my ScanPoint so that it reflects my new day, I'll just click the ScanPoint button again to refresh it to 11/20. Ensure your provider is correct, and ours is because we're in Enter Data As mode, and then select the service that you want to apply to multiple clients. In this case, let's use Housing Search Assistance. We have our start and end date populated. This is obviously a non-financial assistance type service. You probably will not be able to use ScanPoint for financial type services because the amount can change client to client, but this is great for using when you hold a group or some kind of class, or you just record the same service on multiple clients on the same day. Down at the bottom now, there are 3 ways to apply this service to the clients that attended. You have a Start Scan button, which will apply the service to the clients one by one. You have a Choose Clients from a Client List button, which will use a client list to apply the services to. However, you must create that client list ahead of time. And then you have a Choose Clients from a Unit List option. This can only be used by shelters that utilize the shelter point. So this cannot be used by homeless prevention or rapid rehousing projects. So we're down to the 2 choices of Start Scan or Client List, and I will show you both. Let's look at Start Scan first. Click on the Start Scan button, and a Scan ID Cards pop-up window will open. Don't let this scare you. You do not have to have an ID card or a barcode to utilize ScanPoint in HMIS. You can either type in the client's HMIS ID number here, or you can expand the client search screen and search for the clients that you need to apply this service to by their name. And I will show you both examples. So to search for a client by name, you can do test, client ESG search. And there's our client that we've been working with. And to choose them, click the green plus sign, and they're pulled down to the clients entered section. And like I said, you can also search for clients by their ID number using this text field box right here. So we can search for 2523, click enter on your keyboard to select that client, or you can enter clicking this scan barcode button. And you would continue to do this until everyone in your class or everyone who received this particular service on this particular day was accounted for down at the bottom. Before you click exit and make this permanent, you have one last chance to delete someone that you may have accidentally added to the list. Once this list is complete and you've accounted for everyone, just click the exit button in the bottom right-hand corner and the system will apply this service to every client. Now I'll show you how to choose clients from a client list, but first we have to create that client list. So up at the top, find the tab that says Manage Client Lists, and we have to create the list, so let's click the button that says Create New Client List, and we have to name the list. So let's call it this ESG Training List. The provider where the clients are receiving services, and then click Save and Continue. And we can add clients to this list either using their client ID number here, or you can click this search button to look for them by name, and I'll show you both ways. If I want to search for the clients by their client ID number, I can type it in and click enter on my keyboard, or I can type it in and click the Add New Client to List button. Now, to look up a client by name, if you don't know their client ID number, click the search button and you can look them up by their name. So I have test client ESG, and I choose them by clicking the green plus sign. Click the exit button and there's test client ESG on my list. Once every client you want to include on your list is here, and this doesn't mean every client who received the service today, it's just every client that you would work with. So it could be your caseload, for instance. Click the exit button. Now we can go back to the Provide Service tab and I can show you how to use this list to record services. Let's choose Housing Search Assistance again on 1120. But this time at the bottom, instead of clicking Start Scan, let's use the Choose Clients from a Client List option. Here's the client list we just created, so to choose it, click the green plus sign next to the client list name. And here's your list of clients. You can check mark only the names of the clients that received this service on this day, or if everyone on the list received the service, you can click the Check All Clients button. Once you've designated who received the service on that day, click Enter Service for Clients, and you'll receive a confirmation. Now, to show you how the system took that information and applied it to those client records, let's go back and look at the client that we've been working with, the ESG client. Go to the client's record, click on the Service Transactions tab, and then click on that View Entire Service History. Wow, look at all those services. So here's the two we just demonstrated on 1120 Housing Search Assistance, 1120 Housing Search Assistance. Now, this brings up a good point. What if I make a mistake and I accidentally record the service twice, like we did here, or I recorded the service on the wrong client and now I need to get rid of it. Here's how you can do that. You go to the entire service history, and you can either delete both the service and the need associated with that service, or just click the delete trash can next to the need and it will delete them both at once. So for instance, I have housing search assistance on here recorded twice and I only need it once, so I want to delete one of them. If I click the trash can next to the need, it's saying, do you want to delete this need? And note that a service is attached and it will be deleted as well. Well, that's what I want, so I click delete, and that extra housing search assistance service goes away. Well, that completes training on ESG 302 services and ScanPoint. Let's go over a summary of what we covered today so that you do well on your quiz. When wanting to record a service to a client's profile, you'll do so on the Service Transactions tab. When adding a service, the start and end dates auto-populate, but make sure the dates are correct. Do not leave a service transaction open. The service type list has been set up for ESG, Rapid Rehousing, and homeless prevention projects specifically. Please do not deviate from the populated list by using the service code lookup button. The need status of a service should always be set to closed, and the outcome of a service should always be set to fully met. When wanting to record services to multiple clients at once, you will use the ScanPoint module. When using the ScanPoint module, there are only two options that can be used by Rapid Rehousing or homeless prevention projects. Option 1 is the Start Scan button, where you can search for each client by name or HMIS ID number. And option 2 is the Choose Clients from the Client List button. But first, you must create the client list through the Manage Client List tab, and then you can apply the services through that list. Please remember the unit list option is not available to Rapid Rehousing or homeless prevention projects. Finally, when wanting to review or make corrections on existing services, you will go to the client's profile and locate the Service Transactions tab. And from there, you will click on the View Entire Service History button. If you have any questions or need assistance, please feel free to contact us at the HMIS Help Desk via email at hmisupport@cir.org or by phone or text at 602-908-3605. Thank you, and please refer back to your training confirmation email for further instructions.